stress become toxic in your system, and that leads to inflammatory conditions. Inflammation is responsible for about 95% of preventable diseases that we have in our society today. So inflammation is connected to cancer, it's connected to heart disease, it's connected to diabetes, it's connected to digestive disorders, and it's also connected to anxiety and depression. It's also now been shown to be connected to Alzheimer's as well. So inflammation is one of the triggers which causes these diseases to become fully penetrant, to show themselves.
What is inflammation, and what is the yoga? How does yoga help in stopping it or reversing it? Okay. And what should be the yoga lifestyle? Because probably even thyroid and some of these diseases also are triggered by inflammation.
Yeah, and rheumatoid arthritis and some types of epilepsy as well.
So what is the yoga lifestyle to help avoid, eradicate, and reverse? And have you had any experiences of people coming to your studio or to your exercises who have seen very strong changes in their health conditions after yoga?
Okay. Yes. So what happens with inflammation is triggered by the sympathetic nervous system. And so we have two branches of our autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic moves us towards activity, parasympathetic moves us towards rest. Sympathetic nervous system also perceives threat in the environment. Environment could be our body. It could be bacteria or viruses. It could be when our body mistakes something that is in us for something which is dangerous, like a cell that it needs to fight off even though the cell might not be harmful. So one of the ways that the body is going to deal with bacteria or a virus or perceiving threat, maybe it could be we have a cut or we sprain an ankle or we have some type of injury, is it's going to release adrenaline and cortisol, which are going to go to that area. It's going to release anti-inflammatory biomarkers to go to that area and start fixing the area or fighting off the disease. So this is called a acute inflammation response, where there's a problem, say a cut, and then the body is going to send the white blood cells and cortisol to that area to begin to repair it. Cortisol is inflammatory on its own. So it's not bad for us, it can help protect us. The problem becomes when our body senses something which is a threat and it isn't a threat, and it still continues to release the inflammatory cortisol. So for example, if we're getting stressed out repeatedly through the day, or we're continually causing a lot of injury to the body or harm to the body, or we're eating foods that the body doesn't recognize or can't digest, we'll start to create this condition where the sympathetic nervous system is responding by releasing these stress hormones into the bloodstream, and they can't get themselves out from the bloodstream quick enough. So normally cortisol is going to be absorbed back into the red blood cells, or we're going to release it through urine and sweat. But we need time for that to happen because cortisol is slow acting and takes a while to leave the system. But if we are triggering the adrenals to release it repeatedly throughout the day, our body can't get rid of it quick enough. And so then it gets stuck in our bloodstream. It goes to the brain and attaches to the receptors in the prefrontal cortex and to many other areas, and we kind of start to create a toxic condition of inflammation in the body. So one of the ways that the body deals with monitoring and controlling levels of inflammation is through the vagus nerve. And when there's too much inflammation in the body, the vagus nerve temporarily gets impaired and it can't control these levels. And it also begins to disrupt heart rate variability and other physiological processes. So the way that yoga becomes very helpful is that there are 4 basic things which will help to restore vagal tone. So if the tone is low, that means messages aren't getting sent back and forth from the body to the brain. If the vagal tone is high, then the messages are being sent, and the vagus nerve can control inflammation, it can control the messages that are going to all the visceral organs, and also receive the information coming from the organs up to the brain. So what are those 4 things that really work well? Number 1 are postures, because they're doing postures even like sitting up straight when you're meditating. You're sending messages to the baroreceptors at the carotid arteries to monitor and balance blood pressure. Okay, this is a very important part of cardiovascular health. The next thing will be breathing. Through slow rhythmic breathing, as the belly comes in and out, we're sending messages through the vagal afferents in the abdominal region up to the brain of rhythmicity, of calm, of safety, of contentment. So when there's stress or anxiety or any hints of disease, our breathing patterns get interrupted. So if we restore a smooth, calm, intentional breathing pattern, that will send those messages up to the brain as well. And then the next thing is going to be vocalization. Pranayamas like Brahmari pranayama, where we make the humming sound, like the bee, the sound of a bee, or the Ujjayi pranayama, where we make the hissing sound in the throat. This will stimulate the vagal nerves in the throat, again toning the information flows that are passing there. And as well, chanting or singing is very good for vagal tone too. And then the last is behavior. Feelings of kindness, appreciation, and gratitude will strengthen vagal tone and heart rate variability.